Last time, I tried to find secret moneymakers that nobody else knows, and I asked you to press this button if you knew half of them, and this button if you didn't. Well, it seems that just over 10% of you know even the most hidden moneymakers, so I guess this time I need to do better. You've heard of supercomputers, super compost, even Superman, but did you know about super kebabs? It's just like a normal kebab, literally, there's practically no difference. If anything, it actually heals you less, but it's called super kebab, so it must be super. We just don't know what the super effect is. What we do know though is that each one is worth over 1000 GP, and it can be bought for just 5 GP each. So I made my house in Polnivnich so I could teleport there quickly, ran a little bit south to Ismail, that's the guy that's going to sell you them, although if you haven't completed the feud quest, he's going to be called Ali the Kebab Seller instead. Now there's a few chat options that you need to go through, but by holding down the spacebar and then selecting option 2, and then option 1 when prompted, it's pretty quick. In 4 minutes I managed to buy 52 which sold for 72,000 GP, making this over 1 million GP per hour. Most players already know that you can trade mole parts for a tidy little profit by exchanging them with the gardener in Falador, currently 7.2 million GP per hour. The problem with that method is killing a giant mole for parts is quite slow and tedious. You could buy them on the G, and by the time Easter come round you'd have enough for maybe a couple of hours worth, but there is a better way. If you sacrifice some of that profit and pay a little bit more for the parts, you can get bulk amounts in the Discord, all bulks, which I'll link below. Or for an even simpler moneymaker, you can be the one that just leaves the offers in the G and then sells it on the all bulks for a higher amount. And they'll be bought by people that are going to do what I'm about to show you. I wanted to test how much money you can make trading mole parts for Bird's Nest if you buy them quickly in bulk. The 7.2 million you make per hour at GE prices is one of the best moneymakers in the entire game. So I figured surely there's enough room to make a good moneymaker even at high prices. Now mole parts have just gone up in price, but on the G at the time, they were around 7,500 GP each, and the average value of items that you got back from each was 8.9 thousand GP. Buyers were trying to get the nest to 8,000 GP on the Discord, and sellers were asking for 8.5, so I decided to put an offer in for 8.25 right down the middle, and had a seller later that same day. I was sacrificing half my profit, but if the wiki was correct, it'd still be over 3 million GP per hour, and only N-level bossing and raids is usually more profitable than that. The best part about this method is you can exchange as many mole parts as you've got all at once, so the only time really needed is removing the nests out of the boxes and then the seeds and the rings from the bird's nests. Now this method is incredibly click intense, and honestly 30 to 60 minutes is probably the most you're going to want to do at any time before your arm literally falls off. 1153 took me 11 minutes and 9 seconds, and I should be making 650 GP each on average, which works out to make this method 4 million GP per hour. I actually made a lot more than that, but just by pure luck, because the prices of everything went up. These are the price of mole parts as they are today, not when I done this last week. And to work out how much you make per hour, all you do is search exchange mole parts and the wiki will tell you how much you get for 100 bird's nests. So divide this number here by 100, and then for every 160 GP under that price you pay for mole parts, you make about 1 million GP per hour. So ideally, you really want at least 500 GP less to make this at least 3 mil per hour. This one is probably one of the best money makers in the game, and it can happen at any time to almost any item. But it just so happened to happen to Guam, so I wanted to show you it whilst I could. Every so often an item spikes up in price, but the items linked to it usually take a while to catch up. If a potion goes up in price, it can take a while before the herb and the secondary ingredients follow suit. Tanned hards usually go up before the untanned ones, and so on. If potions go up, you could simply just buy out the items that create it, knowing that the price is likely to go up later anyway. But the method I want to show you is where you gain XP at the same time. So it was a random conversation I had with someone who mentioned that Guams had suddenly just gone up in price by a ridiculous amount. I think it was 400% in just a month, and we were trying to figure out why. But when I decided to check on them, I noticed that clean had gone up a lot more than the grimy ones. So I bought 1000 grimy for 593,000 GP, and then I just simply used the degrime spell to clean all of them in around 5 minutes time. They all sold for 826 GP, making simply cleaning Guams for a short period 2.6 million GP per hour, plus I was getting magic XP and herb lore XP as well. Now usually these things only last for anything from a few hours to a few days. But next time you see something going up in price, have a look, because if I can make that amount from Guams, you can imagine what happens when something like Sarah Brews goes up in price. If you've done the Elemental Workshop Part 2, making the Mine Shield is a bit of a pain in the backside. Well, that's why they're worth over 30,000 GP each. To make one is exactly the same as the quest. You need to kill an Earth Elemental for some Elemental ore, then add it to a furnace with 4 pieces of coal to make the Elemental bar. Then the longest part and the most annoying bit is using the conveyor belt system to flatten it and reforge it. But I timed it just out of curiosity, and it takes around 2.5 minutes for each one. Charging it and smithing it is relatively quick, so around 4 minutes in total to create each shield, making this moneymaker just under 500,000 GP per hour. There's a boss in old school RuneScape that hardly anyone ever kills. If you kill it, it takes 6 hours to respawn. The wiki doesn't even list it as a boss. Its combat level should be 872, but instead it's only level 2. And whilst other bosses have names like Commander Zilliana and the Corporal Beast, the grand name this was given was... Don't underestimate it though, this thing hits like a truck, plus it can attack you every 1.8 seconds. There's a few different methods that you can do for this, and I wanted to see which one was the best. At low level, you can just use Ruby Bolt E, enter the cave and fire once if it's near you or twice if it's far away, then leave the cave and re-enter, which stops it being aggressive towards you. Attack again, leave the cave, and just repeat. That method though takes about 30 minutes per kill, but it always drops a Crystal Grail worth over 300,000 GP. Another method you can do is to flinch it going to the northwest corner, then you run east, wait for it to reach you, walk 1 tile south, and then to the east here. Once it's safe spotted here, you can flinch it, and I tried it with a Fang due to its extra accuracy, as well as a Dragon Warhammer. Now the Dragon Warhammer isn't very effective, and whilst the Fang did hit, it also wasn't that accurate either. And again, a kill took around 30 minutes this way. The fastest way though is just to mark these 4 tiles here, and then run to each one in turn, getting 1 shot away with some Ruby Bolts E. It still takes around 20 minutes per kill, but that's a respectable 900,000 GP per hour. The Ancient Mace is well known for draining players' prayer in PvP, and some clans use it to turn off protect item in the wilderness before stacking players out. However, as soon as you finish the Another Slice of Ham quest, which can be done at a really low level, you can purchase them from TechDAC for 1000 GP each. But the current GE price for them is 6000 GP each, a very nice profit on every single one. The one downside to this method though is you can't have another one in your bank, in your inventory, or equipped to be able to purchase another one. So you need to use the drop trick where you buy one, drop it, buy another, drop it, and just repeat. Be careful with this, as after an item has been on the ground for 1 minute, it can be picked up by anyone else, although it is pretty dead here, and I wouldn't expect anyone else to be here. It's a short dialogue, and it doesn't take very long for each one, and I did 20 at a time, which just took 2.5 minutes per inventory. On multiple runs, you also have to drop the stack that's in your bank in noted form to be able to purchase more. So, as long as you can sleep at night knowing you're purchasing weapons that will probably be used to smite other players +1s, they will make you 2 million GP per hour. Completely off topic, but whilst I was here, I found out something that I never ever knew. And I'm curious, am I the only one? You can get teleports here that take you to the Goblin Village north of Falador, the cave under the Fishing Guild, and to Dorgish Khan, and I've been walking here for years. This one is extremely simple. If you completed the Shades of Morton and used Serum 208 potion on Razmir and Morton, anytime you speak to him he'll stop being afflicted and you'll gain access to his general store. Within it are packs of olive oil, similar to other packs that you get within the game. They contain 100 of them and they cost 3,471 per pack, but the price does go up as the stock gets lower, to eventually reach 5,000 per pack when the stock's at 0. So all of that means that you're paying between 34 and 50 GP per olive oil, and on average 42 GP. Currently they sell for 50 GP each on the GE, and whilst 8 GP doesn't sound like a lot, you're buying in packs of 100, so each one is actually 800 GP for every pack that you open. Plus when you open packs they're already noted, so you never ever need to bank. I purchased 20 packs per world, open them on Hot Worlds, doing that over and over again for just 5 minutes. In which time I managed to buy 32,000 at a cost of 1.35 million GP. All of those sold for 1.6 million GP, making me a profit of 250,000 in just 5 minutes, which works out at 3 million GP per hour. Although it did take me 2 days to just sell 5 minutes worth of these, so not one I'd actually recommend doing. Let me know if there's any hidden money makers that you know that you'd like me to test, and I'll be back next time with some more secret money makers.